Hey, amazing viewers! Before we go into this riveting narrative, drop your location in the comments below. We love connecting with you all around the world. Also, if this is your first time here, press the subscribe button and join our incredible journey. Let's hit 10,000 subscribers this month together. Your support means everything. The moment that changed everything. I still remember the day as if it were yesterday. The air was crisp and the sun hung low in the sky, casting golden rays over the small town where we grew up. It was the kind of morning that should have promised a good day, but for Olivia Carter, it was just another battle waiting to unfold. Olivia wasn't like the other girls in our school. She didn't wear designer clothes, didn't have the latest phone, and she certainly didn't get dropped off in luxury cars like some of her so-called friends. But what she did have was something much greater. A heart full of dreams and a determination that could shake mountains. I met Olivia when we were kids. Back then, none of us cared about brands or money. We cared about who could run the fastest, who could jump the highest, and who could tell the funniest joke. Olivia was always full of laughter and kindness, the kind of person who made people feel like they mattered. But things changed when we got older. It all started in high school when social status became everything. Suddenly, who you sat with at lunch determined how people saw you. Olivia was part of a group of girls who, on the surface, seemed like the best of friends. But I always knew the truth. They weren't really her friends. They were just girls who tolerated her presence, keeping her around because they enjoyed having someone to mock behind closed doors. The worst of them was Stephanie. If high school had a queen, she would be it. Her father was some big businessman, and her mother was the type to throw extravagant charity events, all while turning her nose up at people who didn't fit their lifestyle. And Olivia, unfortunately, was their favorite target. "You know, Liv," Stephanie would say with a sickly sweet smile, "you should really do something about your clothes. People might think you're, like, poor or something." The girls around her would giggle, pretending like they didn't mean any harm. But I saw the way Olivia's face would tighten, the way she'd swallow back words she wanted to say but couldn't. She was outnumbered, and she knew it. One afternoon, everything came crashing down. We were in the school cafeteria when Stephanie made an announcement. "So, prom is coming up," she said, flipping her perfect blonde hair. "And I was thinking we should all go shopping for dresses together." Oh, but wait. Her eyes flicked to Olivia. "You're coming, right, Liv? I mean, if you can afford it." The table burst into laughter. Even some of the other students nearby turned to watch, their eyes flickering between Olivia and Stephanie, waiting to see what would happen. I expected Olivia to shrink back, to mumble some excuse, and walk away like she always did. But this time, something in her snapped. She stood up, pushing her chair back with a scrape, her hands clenched into fists, and for the first time in a long time, she didn't look small. She looked powerful. "You know what, Stephanie?" Olivia said, her voice steady. "You always talk about money like it makes you better than everyone else. But the truth is, money can't buy you real confidence or real friends. And it certainly can't buy you kindness." The cafeteria went dead silent. No one had ever stood up to Stephanie before. She blinked, clearly taken aback, before her lips curled into a smirk. "Oh, come on, Liv," she cooed. "We were just joking. You take everything so seriously." Olivia shook her head. "No, you weren't joking. You've been doing this for years, and I let it happen. But I'm done. I don't need fake friends who only keep me around to make themselves feel better." And just like that, she walked away, her head held high. I watched in awe. Olivia had spent years swallowing her pain, allowing herself to be pushed down. But in that moment, she had taken back her power. And I had a feeling this was just the beginning. What none of us knew then was that Olivia Carter was about to prove them all wrong in a way that no one would ever forget. Rising from the ashes. If you had told me that day in the cafeteria that Olivia Carter was about to change everything, I would have laughed. Not because I didn't believe in her, but because life didn't usually work that way. People like Stephanie always won. People like Olivia, they just faded into the background. But Olivia, she wasn't going to fade. For the first few days after the cafeteria showdown, everyone was talking about what happened. Stephanie had tried to laugh it off, pretending like Olivia was just being dramatic, but the damage was already done. People had seen her for what she really was, a bully hiding behind expensive clothes and fake friendships. But Olivia wasn't done yet. One afternoon, she came to me with a look in her eyes that I had never seen before. Determination. "I need your help," she said. "With what?" I asked. She hesitated for only a moment before saying, "I'm going to prove them all wrong. I'm going to succeed. And I'm going to do it without their help, without their approval, and without money. I want to show everyone that people like me can still win." I stared at her, not sure what to say. Olivia had always been smart, way smarter than most people gave her credit for. But what was she planning? "Okay," I said finally. "What do you need me to do?" She took a deep breath. "I need to enter the regional business competition." I nearly choked. The business competition. Olivia, that's for rich kids. The kind of kids who have parents with connections. You don't even have a business. "Not yet," she said. "But I have an idea. And I think it can work." I had no idea what she was thinking, but I could tell one thing for sure. Olivia Carter was serious. An idea that could change everything. For the next few weeks, Olivia poured every ounce of energy she had into her idea. She spent hours at the library, reading about business strategies, startup plans, and how to pitch ideas. She wasn't just participating in the competition, she was preparing to win it. Her idea: a second-hand fashion platform. People spend so much money on clothes they wear once and never use again. Olivia explained to me one day as we sat in the library. But what if we could change that? What if we created a network where students could buy and sell gently used clothes, especially for big events like prom? People like Stephanie waste hundreds of dollars on dresses they'll only wear once. Meanwhile, there are kids like me who can't afford a new dress at all. I blinked. That actually sounds brilliant. She grinned. Right? I call it Restyled. It's a platform where students can buy, sell, and even rent clothes from each other. That way, instead of spending ridiculous amounts of money on something new, they can get high-quality outfits for a fraction of the price. It was the kind of idea that made you wonder why it didn't already exist. It was practical. It was needed. And most importantly, it was something Olivia believed in with her whole heart. The problem: she had no money to start it. But Olivia wasn't about to let that stop her. The roadblocks begin. The business competition required an entry fee, $100. For Stephanie and her friends, that was nothing. For Olivia, it was everything. She didn't complain. She didn't ask for help. She got to work. For 2 weeks, she took on every side job she could find. Babysitting, tutoring, even washing cars. People laughed at her, Stephanie and her group, most of all. "She really thinks she can win this," they sneered. "That competition is for future CEOs, not for charity cases like her." But Olivia didn't care. And then something incredible happened. One of her tutoring students, a little girl named Emily, overheard Olivia talking about her business idea. The next day, Emily's mother pulled Olivia aside. "I heard about your idea from Emily," she said. "I think it's wonderful, and I want to help." Then she handed Olivia an envelope. Inside was exactly $100. Olivia stared at it, tears forming in her eyes. "I can't take this," she whispered. "Yes, you can," the woman said firmly, "because I believe in you. And one day when you succeed, you can pay it forward." That was all Olivia needed. She entered the competition, facing the giants. When competition day arrived, the auditorium was packed. The judges were seated in the front row, along with several high-profile business leaders. The other competitors, all students from wealthy families, all of them presenting polished ideas with expensive presentations. And then there was Olivia. She had no slideshow, no fancy materials, just her voice, and the belief that her idea could change lives. When it was her turn, she took a deep breath and stepped onto the stage. "Good afternoon, everyone," she began. "My name is Olivia Carter, and I want to talk to you about something that affects thousands of students: affordable fashion." For the next 10 minutes, Olivia spoke with a passion I had never seen before. She painted a picture of what Restyled could be: a place where students could access affordable, stylish clothes, where waste was reduced, and where everyone, regardless of their financial situation, could feel confident. She didn't just talk about numbers and profits, she talked about impact. And when she finished, the entire room was silent. Then one of the judges, a man in a crisp suit with graying hair, leaned forward. "Miss Carter," he said, "that was remarkable." Olivia held her breath. "You came here today without investors, without financial backing, and without any resources, and yet you stood here and delivered one of the most compelling pitches I've heard in years." He looked down at his notes, then back up at her. "And that's why I'm offering you a mentorship and a starting grant to bring Restyle to life." The room erupted into whispers. Stephanie, who had been sitting in the audience with a smug look, suddenly looked pale. Olivia had done it. She had proved them all wrong. And this was just the beginning. A dream set in motion. If you had walked into that auditorium at the beginning of the competition, you would have seen Olivia Carter as just another competitor, one without money, without influence, without a name that carried weight. But if you had walked out at the end of that day, you would have seen her as something else. A winner. Not because she had been declared the official champion of the competition. That honor went to the son of a local business mogul who had presented an ad-driven stock trading app, but because she had walked away with something far greater: an opportunity. That night, Olivia sat in my car, gripping the envelope with the grant details so tightly that her knuckles had turned white. "Are you okay?" I asked, glancing at her from the driver's seat. She exhaled a shaky breath and looked up at me. "I don't know how to feel." "You should feel proud," I told her. "You did something no one thought you could do." She let out a small laugh, shaking her head. "Yeah, but now, I actually have to do it. I have to turn this idea into something real. What if I fail? What if this was all just a fluke?" I pulled the car into the driveway of her small house and turned to her. "Liv, you didn't get here because of luck. You got here because you worked harder than anyone else. And if there's one thing I know about you, it's that you don't give up. So don't start now." She nodded, staring down at the envelope in her hands. And in that moment I knew. Olivia wasn't going to waste this chance. She was about to build something incredible. The first steps. The next few weeks were some of the most chaotic of our lives. Olivia threw herself into building Restyled from the ground up. She started small, gathering clothes from students who were willing to donate, creating a simple website with the little tech knowledge she had, and spreading the word. She went from classroom to classroom, pitching the idea to students, teachers, even the school janitor. Some people were skeptical. "So, it's just a thrift store, but for students?" one guy had asked with a frown. "No," Olivia had explained. "It's a network. A system where people can rent, buy, or trade fashion in a way that makes sense for them. Instead of spending hundreds of dollars on a dress for one night, you can rent one for a fraction of the cost. And if you have clothes you don't wear anymore, you can sell them to someone who needs them." Slowly but surely, people started listening. The first breakthrough came when one of the teachers, Mrs. Ellis, heard about Olivia's idea. "I have a friend who runs a small boutique downtown," she said one afternoon, pulling Olivia aside after class. "She's always looking for ways to reduce clothing waste. I think she'd love this." A few days later, Olivia found herself sitting in a tiny office across from a woman named Claire Dalton, the owner of Urban Elegance, a local second-hand boutique. "You're ambitious," Claire had said, studying Olivia with an approving smile. "I like that. But business isn't just about ideas. It's about execution. Can you handle that?" Olivia straightened her spine. "I can." Claire leaned back in her chair, tapping a pen against the desk. "All right. I'll make you a deal. I'll give you a small section in my store to showcase your idea. You bring in customers, and we'll see what happens." It was the first real test for Restyled, and Olivia was determined to pass it. The struggles begin. For every moment of success, there were 10 moments of doubt. At first, things moved slowly. Despite all the excitement at school, only a few students actually signed up on the website Olivia had set up. Some were hesitant to buy secondhand. Others just weren't sure if it was cool enough. Meanwhile, Stephanie and her crew weren't about to let Olivia's success go unchallenged. One afternoon, as Olivia was handing out flyers near the cafeteria, Stephanie strutted past, flipping her hair dramatically. "Look at this," she said loudly, snatching a flyer from Olivia's hand and scanning it. "So what? You want people to wear each other's used clothes now?" Several students nearby chuckled. Olivia didn't even blink. "It's called sustainable fashion. But you wouldn't understand that." Stephanie smirked. "Oh, sweetie, I understand plenty. I understand that people don't want to wear something that someone else has already sweated in." The laughter grew louder. For a second, I saw Olivia hesitate. She could have snapped back. She could have argued. Instead, she did something better. She smiled. "Well," she said, "since you care so much, maybe I should save you a spot in line for when Restyle takes off." Stephanie's smile faltered for half a second before she flipped her hair again. "Whatever. Good luck with your little project." She walked away. And Olivia. She kept going. The turning point. The moment that changed everything happened about 2 weeks later. One afternoon, a girl named Hannah, a quiet, shy sophomore, approached Olivia outside the library. "Hey," she mumbled, shifting awkwardly. "Hey, Hannah," Olivia said. "What's up?" Hannah hesitated before pulling out her phone and showing Olivia a picture. It was a gorgeous blue dress, shimmering under the store lights. "This is the dress I wanted for prom," she said softly. "But it was way too expensive. I was just going to skip the dance." Olivia frowned. "You don't have to skip it. Did you check Restyled?" Hannah sighed. "Yeah, but I didn't think anyone would have something like this." "Wait," Olivia said, snapping her fingers. "I think I know someone who does." She pulled out her own phone and quickly searched the Restyled inventory. A few minutes later, she turned the screen toward Hannah. It was the same dress. Hannah's eyes widened. "Wait, that's the exact one," she gasped. "How?" "Someone donated it last week," Olivia said with a grin. "It's yours if you want it." Hannah blinked, her eyes already welling up with tears. "Seriously?" "Seriously," Olivia said. Hannah launched forward, hugging Olivia tightly. "Thank you," she whispered. "You have no idea what this means to me." And just like that, word spread. Hannah wasn't the only one who had been struggling. There were dozens of students just like her. Students who wanted to look and feel their best, but couldn't afford to spend hundreds of dollars on a single outfit. Suddenly, everyone was talking about Restyled. And for the first time, Olivia knew this was bigger than just a school project. This was a movement. Stephanie's reaction. A few days later, Olivia and I were in Claire's boutique, organizing the newest batch of clothes for Restyled when the doorbell chimed. We turned to see who had walked in. And there, standing in the doorway, was Stephanie. I felt Olivia stiffen beside me. Stephanie crossed her arms, her expression unreadable. "So," she said slowly, her voice lacking its usual venom, "how does this work exactly?" For the first time in her life, Stephanie wasn't mocking Olivia. She was interested. And that's when I realized Olivia had done it. She had proven them all wrong. And she wasn't done yet. When the tables turn. You know that moment when the world suddenly flips, when the person who used to mock you suddenly needs something from you. That was what I saw in Stephanie's eyes that day in the boutique. For years, Olivia had been at the bottom of the social ladder, the one people like Stephanie pushed down just to feel taller. But now Stephanie was standing in Olivia's world, asking about her business, playing by her rules. And Olivia, she wasn't about to let this moment go to waste. She leaned against the boutique counter, arms crossed, studying Stephanie the way Stephanie had studied her so many times before. "So," Olivia said, her voice calm and measured, "you want to know how Restyled works." Stephanie shifted, clearly uncomfortable. "I'm just curious." I had never seen Stephanie look unsure before. It was like watching a lion hesitate before pouncing, something that wasn't supposed to happen. Olivia didn't press. Instead, she simply smiled and gestured toward the racks of clothes behind her. "It's simple. People bring in gently used outfits, and we match them with students who need them. They can buy, rent, or trade, depending on what works best for them." Stephanie's eyes flicked toward a shimmering gold dress on display. "And you're saying someone actually wore that before?" Olivia shrugged. "Yep, and someone will wear it again. That's the point." Stephanie hesitated. I might have some dresses I don't need anymore." I nearly choked. Stephanie Harper, the girl who mocked Olivia for wearing second-hand clothes, was now considering joining Restyled. Olivia didn't even flinch. She just nodded. "Great. Bring them in whenever you want." Stephanie opened her mouth like she wanted to say something else but stopped herself. Instead, she gave a small, almost awkward nod and walked out of the boutique. And just like that, the shift had begun. The tipping point. After Stephanie left, Olivia turned to me, eyebrows raised. "Did that just happen?" she asked. "Oh, it definitely happened," I said, still trying to wrap my head around it. We both burst into laughter. But deep down, I knew this wasn't just about Stephanie. It was about something bigger. If Stephanie Harper, the queen of high school fashion, the girl who lived for brand names, was considering Restyled, then it meant something huge. It meant Restyled wasn't just a struggling startup anymore. It was a trend. And in high school, trends were more powerful than anything. The snowball effect. After that day, things started moving fast. Stephanie never openly admitted that she was using Restyled, but suddenly her friends were showing up. Girls who once sneered at Olivia were now casually browsing the racks, pretending like they had always believed in sustainable fashion. And the best part, the boutique started making serious money. Claire, the boutique owner, pulled Olivia aside one day, her eyes twinkling with excitement. "Your section is outselling some of my main inventory," she said. "I think it's time we expand." Olivia's jaw nearly hit the floor. "Expand?" Claire nodded. "I want to give you more space in the store. And not just that. I know some other boutique owners who might want to partner with you. You've got something special here, Olivia." I don't think Olivia breathed for a full 10 seconds. "Wait, you're serious?" she whispered. Claire laughed. "Dead serious." And just like that, Restyled went from a small school project to a full-fledged business. The unexpected invitation. One afternoon, Olivia and I were sitting at our usual spot in the library, planning out new strategies for Restyled, when Olivia's phone buzzed. She glanced at it, and then her entire body stiffened. "What is it?" I asked. She slowly turned her phone toward me. It was a message from Stephanie. "Hey, we need to talk. Can you meet me at the cafe after school?" I blinked. Okay, what alternate universe did we wake up in? Olivia just stared at the message, a mix of curiosity and suspicion on her face. "She probably wants something," she muttered. "Obviously. The question is, do you care?" Olivia exhaled and put her phone down. "No, but I'm still going." And so that afternoon, we found ourselves at a small cafe, sitting across from Stephanie Harper. She didn't waste time with small talk. "I need a favor," she said bluntly. Olivia raised an eyebrow. "A favor?" Stephanie nodded, looking genuinely uncomfortable. "It's about prom." I almost laughed. The irony was too much. Prom, the very thing Stephanie had mocked Olivia about weeks ago, was now the reason she was asking for help. Olivia leaned back in her chair, arms crossed. "Go on." Stephanie hesitated before finally saying, "My dress is ruined. I ordered a custom-made gown from a designer in New York, but there was a shipping issue, and it won't be here in time. I tried finding something else, but nothing fits me the way I want." She paused, then, for the first time in her life, said something that actually sounded genuine. "Restyled has some amazing dresses. I know because I've seen them. I need one." I nearly fell out of my chair. Stephanie Harper, the girl who once laughed at Olivia for even considering second-hand fashion, was now begging for a dress from Restyled. Olivia was silent for a long moment, and then she did something that shocked me. She smiled. "All right," she said simply. Stephanie blinked. "Wait, you'll help me?" Olivia nodded. "Yes, but not just because you're Stephanie Harper." Stephanie's face fell slightly. "I'll help you because Restyled is for everyone," Olivia continued, "even people who never believed in it." There was a long silence. And then, slowly, Stephanie nodded. "Fair enough." The night of prom. When prom night arrived, something happened that no one could have predicted. Stephanie Harper showed up in a stunning gown, one that had been donated to Restyled just a week before. And when people asked her where she got it, she didn't lie. She said, loud and proud, "I got it from Restyled. Best decision I ever made." And just like that, the final wall broke. Restyled wasn't just an idea anymore. It wasn't just a startup. It was a revolution. And Olivia Carter, she had proved everyone wrong, including Stephanie Harper, including herself. And this was only the beginning. But now, as I stood outside that house, I wondered if she had been disappearing long before the bullying even started, and if Leia had been waiting for it. I wasn't going to let that happen. I wasn't going to let her vanish. Not like this. I climbed up onto the porch, pressing my hand against the cool wood of the front door. It was unlocked. A bad sign. Or maybe an invitation. I stepped inside. The house was silent. Dark. Too dark. I moved carefully, my heart pounding. There was no sign of their parents. No sign of anyone, except for the lingering tension in the air, something thick and unspoken, pressing against my skin. And then I heard it. A soft rustling. A whisper. I turned toward the staircase. There, at the top, stood Lena. Or at least, the shadow of her. She was thin. Too thin. Her arms wrapped around herself like she was trying to hold herself together. Her face was half hidden in the darkness. But her eyes were wide, pleading. "Help me." Her voice was barely a breath. I swallowed hard. "Lena." She opened her mouth to speak. But then, another voice. From behind her. "You shouldn't have come." I froze. Leia stepped forward. She was wearing the same face, the same eyes, the same body. But they weren't the same at all. Lena was trembling. Leia was calm. Too calm. And I suddenly understood. Leia hadn't just taken Lena's place. She had erased her. Bit by bit. Until there was nothing left. The truth. I don't know when it started. Maybe it had always been there, lurking beneath the surface, hidden behind their identical faces. Two girls. One stronger, one weaker. One who wanted to live. One who wanted to disappear. And somewhere along the way, the roles had flipped. Or maybe they had always been this way. Leah took a step forward, placing a hand on Lena's shoulder. She smiled, but it wasn't kind. "You should go home," she said softly. Lena didn't speak, didn't move. I wanted to grab her hand, to pull her down those stairs, to remind her of who she was before all of this. But she didn't reach for me. She just stood there, frozen, staring at her own reflection in the mirror behind me. Or maybe she wasn't seeing a reflection at all. Maybe she was seeing a ghost. Maybe she already was one. The last goodbye. I left that night. Not because I wanted to, but because I had no choice. Leia walked me to the door, her smile never faltering. "Don't worry," she said. "Lena's safe." I looked back one last time. Lena was still at the top of the stairs, watching, waiting. I wanted to say something, anything, but the words never came. Because deep down I knew Lena wasn't coming back. Not really. Not ever. Monday morning. School was the same. The whispers, the rumors, the looks. Only now, they weren't about Amanda. They were about Lena, or rather, about how she had changed. She's different now. Stronger. Like a whole new person. And maybe she was. Maybe that's exactly what she had become. Because when she walked through those doors, head high, eyes sharp, she wasn't Lena anymore. She was Leah. And no one could tell the difference. Not even me. Some stories don't end the way you expect. Some stories don't end at all. This concludes the story. Thank you for watching until the end. I hope you found it enjoyable. If you did, please consider liking the video and sharing it with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and activate the notification bell for more captivating stories. Have a great day. The legacy of a girl who never gave up. If someone had told me a year ago that Olivia Carter, the girl who was once mocked for wearing secondhand clothes, would one day change the way our entire school, and maybe even our town, saw fashion, I wouldn't have believed them. But then again, Olivia had never been the kind of person people believed in. Until she made them. After prom night, Restyled exploded. Stephanie Harper, the very girl who had once laughed at Olivia, became one of its biggest supporters. She even helped Olivia market it. Turns out, when Stephanie wanted to use her social influence, she was very good at it. Within months, Restyled wasn't just in one boutique anymore. Other stores started calling Olivia, wanting to collaborate. Even our school got involved, setting up an official partnership to provide affordable fashion options for students in need. And the best part, Olivia never let it change who she was. 1 year later, it was the following spring when I found myself sitting in the very same cafe where Olivia had once met Stephanie. Only this time, it wasn't Stephanie waiting for Olivia. It was a reporter. I watched as Olivia walked in, her head held high, dressed in an outfit that, ironically, had been thrifted from her own store. The reporter, a well-dressed woman in her early 30s, smiled as Olivia sat down. "You must be Olivia Carter," she said, flipping open her notepad. Olivia nodded. "That's me." The reporter grinned. "So tell me, how does it feel to be the girl who changed the way an entire school, maybe even an entire town, sees secondhand fashion?" Olivia chuckled, shaking her head. "I don't know if I changed the town, but I know that I changed me. And maybe that was enough to inspire others to do the same." The reporter nodded, clearly impressed. "What's next for Restyled?" Olivia took a deep breath. "Expansion. We've been getting calls from other schools, and some local influencers have reached out. This started as a project for students, but now it's turning into something bigger, something real." The reporter scribbled something down, then leaned forward with a curious smile. "Tell me, Olivia, did you ever think you'd come this far?" Olivia thought about it for a moment before giving the answer that I knew was coming. "Yes," she said simply. The reporter raised an eyebrow. "You did?" Olivia nodded. "I had to believe it. If I didn't, no one else ever would." And that was the heart of it. That was always the heart of it. The full circle moment. A few weeks later, Olivia and I were sitting in her now fully established Restyled store when the bell above the door chimed. We looked up, and there, standing in the doorway, was a girl who reminded me a lot of Olivia a year ago. She was clutching a small bag, looking nervous, biting her lip as she hesitated before stepping inside. "Hi," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. I heard about this place from my friend. She said you help people find nice clothes for, special occasions." Olivia smiled warmly. "We do." The girl hesitated. "I don't have a lot of money, but—" Olivia cut her off gently. "That's okay. We're here to help." For a moment, the girl looked like she might cry. Then, slowly, she nodded. Olivia stood up and gestured toward the racks of clothes behind her. "Come on," she said. "Let's find you something that makes you feel amazing." And as the girl followed Olivia deeper into the store, I realized something. Olivia Carter had already won a long time ago. Not when Restyle took off. Not when she got the grant. Not even when Stephanie Harper admitted she was wrong. She won the moment she decided that she got to define her own worth. And now she was helping others do the same. Because some people prove their worth by being better than others. But the truly powerful ones, they prove their worth by lifting others up. And that's exactly what Olivia Carter was doing. One person at a time. One dress at a time. One life at a time. And that was how you truly changed the world. This concludes the story. Thank you for watching until the end. I hope you found it enjoyable. If you did, please consider liking the video and sharing it with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and activate the notification bell for more captivating stories. Have a great day.